Welcome back. Continuing in the series of Thinking Creatively, let's look at the sixth principle, empathize fully. The simplest way to attempt solving a problem is to experience it yourself firsthand. Most of the time when we are trying to solve a problem, all we have is our perception about what the problem might be, and hence our problem-solving exercise begins with our perception and not the reality. Because of which, many a time we end up solving an imaginary problem and not the real one. So, how to overcome this? Not always is it possible to experience the problem to be solved by yourself. So, do what's next best. Try to understand it from the user's perspective. This is where your ability to empathize with the user proves useful. Empathy is the ability to put yourself into the shoes of another person. That is, being able to look at the world from the perspective of that other person. This ability to empathize is a very powerful tool for creative problem solving. Let us see what happens when one solves problems without empathy. Remember this car, the very popular Ford Icon. It was launched in India in 1997 by the Ford Motor Company. Back then, it had three variants priced in the range of Indian rupees 5.5 lakhs to 7 lakhs, which at that time was equivalent to today's 40 to 45 lakhs of rupees, which obviously was the premium segment back then. When most of these multinational companies enter India or any other emerging market, they drop the prices to penetrate the market. In this situation, what's the first thing they normally cut out? Most often, it is the technological features that they think are superfluous. One such thing that Ford cut out from the Icon was that it earlier had all four doors with power windows. They eliminated the power window feature from the back doors and kept it only on the front two doors. In the Indian scenario back then, a premier car was mostly owned by people who had drivers, and the end result was that the driver had the luxury of using power windows in front, while the owner sitting at the back had to manually roll the windows up and down. This is what happens when one misses out what the user really needs, that is, a lack of empathy. Now, let's look at what happens when there is empathy. I go as a visiting faculty to a few B schools across the country, and typically I give an assignment to the students which I call as Empathy Week. I give the students a target group to study in depth for a week and ask them to come up with concepts to solve their problems. Once, one such target group was deaf and mute housewives. After about 3 days, the students came back to me saying that whatever concepts they were coming up with was already available on Google. I asked them, have you actually interacted with any real people who were deaf and mute? They said they had not. So I said, please do. To which they responded, how can we speak to these people? We won't be able to communicate with them. We don't know sign language. I said, please try to spend as much time with them as possible in their normal surroundings. After looking around among their family circles, they found 2 housewives who were deaf and mute. The students then actually spent time with these housewives in their homes when the ladies were going about their normal household chores, and they observed their day-to-day lives. A few things that they observed were: the housewife does not realize when the doorbell rings. If she has put something in the microwave oven, she is unable to hear the beep when the timer is done. If she has put something in the cooker, then she is unable to hear the whistles buzzing. Now, these are the real problems that these women face in their day-to-day lives, and there are no simple solutions available. So these students actually created a simple wristband that was Bluetooth enabled to sync with all these devices such that when the doorbell rang, the wristband vibrated and a green LED glue on it. When the microwave timer was done, the wristband vibrated and a blue LED glue on them. When the cooker's whistle buzzed, the wristband vibrated and an orange LED glue. Please note that this solution came about only when the students spent time with real people in their real surroundings. Now, I would like you to reflect about how many times do we spend time with the actual people for whom we are trying to solve problems. In other words, do we really empathize with the people for whom we are trying to solve a problem? This is the next best to experiencing the problem firsthand, because it is not always possible to do so. But we can definitely hone our skills to observe carefully and empathize with others. So what are the do's here? Spend as much time as possible in the real surroundings of the people who face the problem. Observe them and the surroundings as objectively and as non-intrusively as possible. Enhancing our empathy quotient will definitely increase our creative quotient. With this, we come to the end of the video series on creative thinking. Through these videos, we have explored the 6 principles of creative thinking, namely analogical thinking, challenging status quo, shifting the frame of reference, thinking extremes, thinking basics, and empathizing fully. I hope you've enjoyed this video series and have developed some insights into how to think creatively and will be able to use these principles in your day-to-day activities.